Welcome to the Geek Cabal channel. I'm Bob,
I'm Jim.
and you are about to watch a clip from one of our longer podcast videos since they've been running about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We splice clips out. If you like the whole thing, it'll be linked to in the description. Hopefully, you'll watch it too. It's up to you, though. And since this is YouTube, you know how it goes. If you like what you like here, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But otherwise, hope you enjoy the clip. But that does also kind of lead into one other thing that I've been thinking about lately. And Star Wars is in a weird place here. Parts of it are trying to be serious and adult, like Andor, and arguably Rogue One. And other parts of it are just like embracing the fact that this is based on adventure movies from almost 100 years ago at this point that influenced George Lucas's childhood, and we're not supposed to take them at all seriously, or only as serious as the plot demands. And the problem, I think, this goes back to literally the first two movies, because A New Hope, yeah, it's got a few serious points, but by and large, it's a swashbuckling adventure movie set in space.
Yeah,
But then Empire comes along, and Empire's like, yeah, well, guess what? Consequences. Here they come like a sledgehammer.
Well, and that probably explains why The Empire Strikes Back is probably my favorite of all
Well,
of the
right,
movies.
and it's a movie that takes itself a lot more seriously, and the franchise is built on that movie, not A New Hope. It's built on that one. But then you kind of swing back with Return of the Jedi, and then the Clone Wars, like the Phantom Menace, is a lot more like Return of the Jedi. But then we get more serious as we go along toward Revenge of the Sith, where it's like this is a serious movie, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the franchise needs to figure out where it's going, because like we have Ahsoka, I don't think we're supposed to take this all that seriously. Like this is swashbuckling, daring do adventure. It's got hints of seriousness. The Mandalorian is very much in that mold. But then you have Andor, that's like, so want to know what it's like to live under an oppressive regime? Here we go, 12 episodes of it coming at you, and it's an excellent show. But it's just like this massive, what is it, dissonance? I think is the word I'm looking for here. Massive dissonance between the two approaches, and I think that's really I think it's throwing a lot of people off.
Well, and I think there should be a balance in the middle. There it shouldn't be just
as in all things.
Yes. No, but I don't know. Listening to you talk there, I just had just for some reason I just had an idea of something we could probably go into at some point, and that is a breakdown of a scene or scenes of any sort. Because while Empire Strikes Back is my favorite of all of the Star Wars movies, I still think my favorite scene is in Return of the Jedi when they run across the hidden Imperial fleet.
Oh yeah,
because
the infamous Akbar moment.
It's a trap.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you,
my favorite scene is in that movie, but it's not that one.
Because I mean, that's the shit your pants moment that you realize. Well, I think, and I'm telling you, is one of the Rogue Squadron games really does that scene well, because, like when you see your rate, I mean, and maybe that, and maybe X-Men Alliance, I think both of them have a pretty good thing on how it looks, but as you see as you are flying in your X-Wing or whatever, and you see your radar just start filling up with signs, and you're just like...
The TIE fighters that just appear out of thin air?
Yes.
Just like in the movie?
Yes, because it's just a mass of them, and you're just like, holy crap, this is getting real. That's why in the games, a lot of times it's not like destroy them all. It's like you destroy...
Survive.
Yeah, it's like destroy X number until the shield generator's down. In time for these ships to be able to engage the Star Destroyers at point blank range.
Yeah, you'll survive longer than you will against that Death Star. Sorry for massacring your lines there, Billy D. But
but no, so what scene in Return of the Jedi is your?
It's a toss up. It's either whenever Vader finally does the right thing and kills the Emperor, because literally the entire saga is building to that moment, or it's whenever he's dying and is telling Luke that like he actually wants to truly see what he looks like and not through the filter, like accepting that, I'm going to die. Nothing's going to stop that. We have this one moment. I don't want to waste it.
Well, yeah, I mean that has a whole lot of weight to it. I mean, I think as a a point in the movie, yes, but I just meant the crazy like get your blood pumping moment. That Vader dying doesn't quite do that for me.
Well, I'm just saying that's
No,
my,
no,
my
no.
favorite, probably my favorite moment in all the Star Wars movies. I mean, like for the other,
I do,
for the other, it's probably actually the lightsaber battle in the Phantom Menace,
I do. At least
the final lightsaber battle.
I do. At least in that one scene, though, I do kind of. I think it kind of sucks that because they didn't get Prowse to play.
No, that's Sebastian Shaw when he wasn't busy leading the Hellfire Club.
And
just very briefly, for those of you that don't know, there is a real club called the Hellfire Club that is very much like the one in the comic books of the X-Men. It's nothing but like debauchery and excess. And in the comics, the Black King of the Hellfire Club is a guy named Sebastian Shaw. This is not that guy. He just happens to have the same name. So, just a little X-Men sidetrack there. No, I feel sorry for old Prowse there. Didn't know it wasn't going to be his voice in the first movie. I think he didn't know it was going to be not him in the third movie, too. I think he didn't know that scene was in the movie. Because if I recall correctly, he was very pissed after that. I mean, I would be too, but...
Well, it's... But, I mean, like, yeah, they at least give him some credit. I mean, you take his voice away, he doesn't have his voice, and then you take away his actual only time he would be out of the mask.
And then it's Sebastian Shaw as the ghost before they replaced him with Hayden Christensen. So, yeah.
I mean, that is the ultimate.
Yeah. Well, that's and for those of you who have never caught on to this, if you watch A New Hope, his timing is way different from James Earl Jones's. There's a couple times he's talking where James Earl Jones stops talking and Vader's like still going through the motions of the conversation. It's mainly in the boardroom meeting where he chokes Admiral Motti almost to death. Because he's saying something, he's still like going through the motions. They couldn't cut it to make it look right, without really screwing up. Another little technical note: pay attention whenever they're on the Death Star and they're anywhere near a door that's going up and down. Look at the people's eyes. They'll start to blink and then be instantly back to their eyes are open. Because to make the doors look like they're going up and down so fast, they just took frames out of the film. So like, but some of them are like a mid blink whenever it's happening, and like once you see it, like it looks really weird.
Not as weird as Han moving his head from a blaster fire.
Yeah, or in Return of the Jedi, when he's running away from the bunker, you can see the reflection of the glass that they're about to hide behind, because there's going to be a real explosion right behind him. And it's funny because that also happens to Harrison Ford in Raiders of the Lost Ark. When he falls down into the chamber the first time, that's a real cobra right in front of him. There's glass between it. You can see the reflection of the cobra when it goes to strike. So most of those snakes were just cut up hoses. They couldn't find enough snakes.
Well,
and a lot of the snakes that are in there are not indigenous to Egypt. They just filled it with everything they could find. So a whole bunch of little fun movie trivia for you here, folks. The best thing about Raiders, though, is the truck scene. That's really Harrison Ford being dragged along underneath the truck.
You what?
That where the Ark is on board the truck, and he like goes through the guy throws him through the front window, and he goes in the grill and goes under the truck. That's Harrison Ford. That's not a stunt double. Because, as he said in an interview, he's like, well, we filmed that scene kind of early on. I figured if it was dangerous, they'd be using a stunt double or something. It wouldn't risk the movie on me like getting killed. George Lucas is, So that's, if you pay attention, there's a trench so that he would be under, so he'd be hopefully out of the way of everything. So, yeah.
Well, that's like in, I want to say it was Back to the Future Part 2, where they literally hung, Marty. I'm trying to think.
George McFly. Are you talking about how they basically had to put his dad in, but they didn't want to pay Crispin Glover?
No. This is there's a scene where I guess they're lynching can't think of his name.
Brown.
No, Marty.
Huh.
And yeah, like he literally passed out and like pretty much almost died.
Oh, okay. Didn't know about that.
And I don't remember what scene it is. It's the Wild West one, right?
The third one.
Third one. Okay, sorry, third one. It's whichever one's the Wild West one. Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Also, one of the first sets of movies where they filmed multiples of the movies at once. They filmed 2 and 3 at the same time. Because 2, I don't know if it's right at the end or if it's at the end credits, has a preview for the third movie in it. So,
which has become pretty commonplace. So
yeah. Also, just a little side note: Back to the Future is going to be back in theaters sometime in October for like a day or two, because it's the probably 35th anniversary.
I've seen the most embarrassing thing, speaking of Back to the Future, where somebody could not get the concept of how that they didn't actually go back to 1955. It was just this post where this person just like, well, no, but why didn't Marty warn people of all this impending whatever? Like, it's you mean in the movie? Like, yeah, I guess he could have. And they're like, no, why did he just go back? And when they went back and filmed it, they did not tell him about like events coming up, and they're like, they didn't actually go back to 1955 to film this, and they're like. Now, again, it's something you see on the
Can
internet.
you imagine if that's how we actually film time travel movies? Like, oh yeah, we got a time travel machine. Let's go back to 1955. It'll be really historically accurate. Tell people, no, we can't do that. That might damage the flow of time, but filming this movie, no, that won't.
And it's just like, some people are just like, you don't know. It's like, is this something that somebody really thought? And it's like, oh, I don't know. And anymore nowadays, it's like,
well, I mean, yeah. But I mean, that's up there with the fact that like a third of people, or something really high like that, apparently don't have an inner voice or can't like picture things in their mind.
Yeah, where somebody
I was just astonished whenever I read that. I was like, how is that possible?
Well, my question is, how do they read a book?
I assume they read it out loud. Or they, the only thing I can assume is they just didn't understand the question. Like it's asked in some like arcane manner or something, and they're just not grasping what they're saying, right? Because they can't picture things in their head.
Well, that's like where I've seen it again in like on some video or whatever, where a girl went to a therapist because she said there was a voice in her head, and they're like, "That's your inner voice."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't complain. I spent an hour looking for something one time as a Lego piece, like sorting through. It's in my left hand. Right-handed. I was like, sitting there, I was like, yeah, it happens. Like, I felt very stupid in that moment. Like, feel pretty stupid saying it now too, but
Well,
this is the slice of life you people sign up for.
Well, especially if they made it to this end of the video.
Hey, I told them to hang on for the Ahsoka thing. So, the other final thought on the Ahsoka thing is, I think some other folks, primarily here on YouTube, are just being way too damn critical of this show. That's the hot take, by the way, is the show is actually entertaining. It's not great. It's got problems. If you've seen our other videos, I've been very clear about what I think are the problems. But there's a video I watched, and I can't remember who it was, but he's just going through and ranting and raving, and I was like, literally a third of the things you found wrong with this are explained in the show if you paid the slightest bit of attention to it. And like one of these, like, oh, so Star Destroyers can just hover now. I was like, have been able to since at least Rogue One. Like, that was in a movie, in a theater. Like, that's canon. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Yes, they can.
And I mean, I understand them not knowing that, that they use repulsor technology, anti-gravity type technology.
Yeah, I can understand if they don't know how it happens. Sure, whatever, because the movies don't explain it.
Well, the one thing that they never explain is why they use walkers instead of, repulsor lift vehicles, because...
I'm assuming, this is pure assumption here, that it's similar to BattleTech in that there's a flaw in them that they can't, like, go across water or something.
Well, for what they explain is that there are some planets where repulsor stuff doesn't work as well or doesn't work at all.
Like wonky magnetic field or something?
Yeah, but then landing anything makes it a pain in the ass, too, because that's one thing that even like fighters and stuff like that. Well, I don't know how much like the fighters do, but a lot of the starships have to have some sort of repulsor lift to allow it to fly and hover in atmosphere. Otherwise, they would just come crashing down because
Right.
gravity would pull them down.
Right.
You know, the Millennium Falcon is fine because Millennium Falcon doesn't weigh, a
Isn't
star.
isn't a mile long and take 45,000 crew members to crew. Just two guys in the cockpit. Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference in scale there.
Yes. So yes, there has to be some sort of technology that allows that to happen. For a while they got away with it because they never entered atmosphere, and Kuat Drive Yards was orbiting a planet, not in atmosphere. But even the EU has, I believe, made mention of ships like the.
Oh yeah, there's the Super Star Destroyer buried on Coruscant. Like it achieved escape velocity. It incinerated miles of the planet in the process. Because I mean, the ship is, what are they? Are they 18 or 32 miles long? They're hellaciously huge. But imagine an engine that's probably bigger than the Star Destroyer, and it has, I believe, 9 of them, if I remember correctly. Like all firing up all at once. Like, yeah, whatever's behind that for a good mile or two is just
Yeah.
atomized.
But even then, I mean, you still have to have the
yeah, you still got to go up.
You still have the repulsors and stuff because otherwise you're just going to destroy the ship. That the engines are just going to go through the ship.
Yeah.
So you still have to have a way to lift it up. But no, I mean there has to be ways of doing that, and that's been mentioned in multiple formats. And I don't expect everyone to know that because I mean obviously you have to play the games, read the books,
but the point is,
all the movies.
Yeah, but the point is, there's at least one very noticeable moment in a canon film that everyone seemed to like.
I did.
Where they're in the atmosphere with the Star Destroyer. It's just parked over Jeddah. Its engines aren't flaring until it finally starts to move. So clearly that wasn't what was holding it up. Not that it matters what's holding it up. For all magic for all we care. But the point is, that was one thing. Another big complaint I'm seeing is Thrawn looked fat. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you people talking about? Like, he did not look fat. Yeah, he might have been a little chubby. The guy's been in another galaxy for the last 11 years. Maybe they only have high-calorie food there. I don't know.
Maybe it's just his resemblance to Elon Musk that made him think
that. And they were like, this doesn't look like a man in the prime of his life. I'm like, because he's not. He was in the prime of his life in Rebels 11 years ago. Now he's well into middle age. Like,
I seen a post today on Facebook that kind of explains this, where it's like it's David Spade talking about these Facebook clickbait titles. That's like these stars from the '80s. Look at them now, 30 years later, and he's like, it's 30 years later. He's like, they're talking about some woman. He goes, and it was me.
I was going to say, unless it's Jennifer Connelly, who up until like a couple years ago looked exactly how she still looked back in the 80s and probably could still pull it off now. Like, she seemed to not age.
Well,
and Paul Rudd from the 90s.
Paul
he's
Rudd
apparently a vampire or something.
And Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
All people that... And I think some of that comes down to just the people that, I think they're decent people and they just...
Yeah, I mean, it's a crapshoot of genetics. Plus, do you take care of yourself? Are you stressed out? And do you have enough money, like, to buy the right skin creams and have a good diet and work out a little bit at least? And
well, better than what Madonna's looks like anytime home. But geez,
yeah, I thought she was like auditioning for like a play set in hell or something. But
if there's a thought of people being replaced by lizard people, I think they got her mask wrong. So she still looks like a lizard person now. So and I don't get it. Like people, I don't think she was aging that terribly, and now she just
no.
Oh jeez.
But anyway, my point is, it's one thing. Like, okay, like I said in the Ahsoka video, we're not Disney shills by any stretch. If you've seen this, if you've seen the other videos where I talk about the MCU, like, I haven't gotten around to talking about Secret Invasion yet, because you guys haven't finished it yet, have you?
Yes. Oh, no, not Secret Invasion. She-Hulk, okay. I did get through She-Hulk finally.
Okay, well, when we get to Secret Invasion, I have some words about that, too. And I've obviously not been shy about the fact I think the sequel trilogy is a dumpster fire. But I think that there's legitimate criticism, and there's been a lot. There's plenty about this show to criticize. But then there's the other things that it's just like you're exposing your own ignorance that you're not paying attention to the show. And that's one thing that always drove me crazy back whenever the Internet Movie Database actually still had the forums, which was the greatest part of that, where you could actually talk to other people about that specific movie instead of just being part of some distant conversation on Twitter or wherever. And there'd be people that would criticize these bad movies, but their criticism was just sheer ignorance. And every time I'd be like, if the movie's so bad, why are you having to lie about it? Like, the movies were bad. There was plenty to criticize, but the things they were criticizing, like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, it's explained in the movie. This doesn't make any sense. It's explained in the goddamn movie. Just pay attention, you know. And like I'm sure there's the counter argument of, well, it's so trashy, I can't. Fine, fair point. But they never make that argument, and it's just like, if these shows are so bad, you shouldn't have to be trying to come up with things to complain about them. Like I've said, the drinker, who very much like his whole shtick is complaining about things, has pointed out that there are pluses to this show. He thinks the negatives vastly outweigh the pluses. Fair enough. But he's acknowledged that parts of the show are good. There are good ideas here. You know, that there are decent parts to it. Just in his opinion, not enough. And, you know, that's subjective, you know. And he sometimes engages on a more of a critical level than a was I enjoying it level. And personally, I can do that, but I prefer to go with the did I enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our criticism comes from things that are, that should have been caught. People should have been like, hey, all of this would be solved if they just admitted, that, hey, we found something. Regardless if we took if we took 4 X-wings to do it.
Yeah, every little piece of that's all done. That's bad. That deserves all the criticism it gets. And if that's enough to pull you out of the show, I'm sorry. But that's understandable if it is, though. It's not for me. Maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment here, but I'm still willing to give Star Wars a chance when it's at least moderately entertaining, and this has been that.
Well, and Episode 6 showed us that it can be good. It can be, it told a good story. Everything kind of fit in. There wasn't really anything that was just so out there that was just like, well, that's stupid, that's unbelievable, or that's whatever.
There wasn't anything like that. The only scene I thought was superfluous, to use the 10-cent words, was the whole deal with Sabine and the horse rat dog thing. That drug on a little bit long after the firefight with the wannabe Tuscans. That was kind of stupid. That shouldn't have drug out as long as it did. But other than that, and the fact that we still don't know what the hell the damn plot is when we could have been told some of it, I think it was a good episode.
Well, I'm just hoping that
I'm hoping we learn the plot in the next 2 episodes. And that'd be great.
And I am hopeful that Thrawn isn't just immediately eliminated by the end of this season.
That would be a one-way ticket to I'm not going to watch season 2.
Yeah, because Moff Gideon wasn't, and I think they stopped Moff Gideon in a way that made sense, but you realize. Yeah, there's more to tell here. He has the Darksaber, and how the hell did he get that?
Yeah, plus Giancarlo Esposito is an excellent actor. For those of you who have not seen Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, his character there is top-notch. Yes, the Chicken Man.
And I think he
is also a methamphetamine dealer.
And I think in season 2 he was really good. There's one moment in season 3 though that I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense unless he is a clone and he's just not as intelligent as his real self. And that's
the final fight.
Not only that, but the fact that he's like, well, I'll wait here for him, letting him go through the Hall of Clones.
Yeah. Well, can't win them all.
You destroyed my clones. Well, duh, idiot. You let me come right through the Hall of Clones. Why is that in the hall?
Yeah, why isn't that in like another different secure location?
It's like, oh yeah, by the way, welcome to my base. On the way to the control room, here's my hall of clones of me. That's just about as like, why didn't they put rails in the Death Star?